They said it wasn't humanly possible.
In 1989, Nintendo released the Game Boy, and although the video game industry wasn't as big as it is now, the Game Boy is still considered the grandfather of handheld gaming. Growing up in the 90s, I remember carrying that thing around everywhere. To school, on road trips, family vacations. Back then, there were no smartphones, so having this little device for on-the-go entertainment was a luxury. Of course, the Game Boy didn't have a rechargeable battery, so you had to stock up on AA batteries. However, from what I remember, that thing still had 15 to 20 hours of battery life. Now fast forward 3 decades later, Nintendo is still the king of portable gaming. In fact, a big reason for the success of Nintendo Switch is because of its portable option. Of course, now we have a Nintendo Switch Lite, which is dedicated to portable gaming. And although it may have great graphics, it's gonna give you nowhere near 15 to 20 hours of battery life like the Game Boy. Now, doing a comparison between the Game Boy and the Switch wouldn't really be fair because there's such a generation gap. However, I'm curious as to how the Nintendo Switch Lite compares to the Nintendo 2DS XL, which was released in 2017. Previously, I didn't own a 2DS, so I went to my local Walmart and picked up this bundle that includes Mario Kart 7. I also picked up a brand new Nintendo Switch Lite because I want to make sure that I'm comparing two fresh consoles. Now, I can already smell the questions. What about the regular Nintendo Switch? So yes, I also picked up a fresh Nintendo Switch version 2 console. For this comparison, the two games I'm going to use are Mario Kart 7 on the DS and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. These are the perfect games for this comparison. They're the latest entries in the Mario Kart series with minor visual differences between them, and the gameplay and fun factor is essentially identical. To start off, let's first look at the two Nintendo consoles. I started with the portable Switch Lite at maximum settings. This meant the brightness was at a maximum, the sound was at a maximum, and I was always connected to Nintendo Online. I sat down and played online races until the battery gave up, which was 3 hours and 16 minutes. Next, I turned the settings of the Switch Lite all the way down. Brightness was at a minimum, sound was off, and I had airplane mode on. Now, of course I couldn't play online, so I sat down and played single player races for 4 hours and 39 minutes before the console powered off. I repeated the same set of tests on the new Nintendo Switch hardware. At maximum settings, while playing online, the big Switch lasted 4 hours and 9 minutes. And at minimum settings, while playing single player, this console lasted 5 hours and 40 minutes. Now, if you bought your Nintendo Switch in 2017, the same year that the 2D XL was released, you have the version 1 of the hardware. And I didn't want you to feel left out, so I was able to test that as well. And as you can see from this chart, the results are much worse. 2 hours and 40 minutes at the maximum settings and 3 hours and 10 minutes at the minimum settings. Moving on to the 2D XL using Mario Kart 7, I followed the same set of tests. So starting off with the maximum settings, the brightness was at a maximum, the sound was at a maximum, and I was always connected to Nintendo Online. This time I played Mario Kart 7 online for 4 hours and 2 minutes before the console powered off. I then charged it back up to 100% and tested the same thing at minimum settings. So brightness down, sound was off, and the console was on airplane mode. This time, of course, I played single player mode, and the 2DS XL lasted 6 hours and 49 minutes. Now, one thing I want to point out is that the 2DS XL has fairly good brightness even at the minimum settings. The Switch Lite, on the other hand, is unplayable at the minimum brightness unless you're sitting in a dark room. So there you have it, Nintendo's latest dedicated to portable gaming. Nintendo Switch Lite may have better graphics, but the previous generation 2DS XL is better when it comes to battery life. Keep in mind the 2D XL has dual screens, and the screens are what eat up most of the battery life. In fact, it has more screen space than the Nintendo Switch Lite. Now, going back 31 years to where we started with the Game Boy, all of these numbers are much lower than the 15 to 20 hours of the Game Boy. So for me, as a huge Nintendo fan, a huge portable gaming fan, I literally dream of a next generation portable console that can once again give us that insane amount of 15 to 20 hour battery life. And hey, who knows? It's 2020 and the freshly rumored Nintendo Switch Pro might make that a reality.